Title: The Boo-Boo That Bent Reality. Humans are curious. This is known. Aliens know this. Even the Galactic Council knows this. That's why, after years of heavy lobbying and one strongly worded Earth petition involving 300,000 signatures and a dance-off, humanity was finally allowed to participate in the Intergalactic Cultural Exchange Program. So it was that Gary Thompson, a painfully average human with a cowlick that defied gravity and a talent for spilling things, was sent to stay with the Varnak family of Sector 9R. The Varnaks were what you'd call unusual, even by galactic standards, covered in scales that shimmered in fluorescent moods, 3 elbows per arm, and a love for throat-singing opera while cooking sulfur-based lasagna. But Gary didn't care about the sulfur or the opera. No, Gary was entirely fixated on their daughter, Zana. Zana was the kind of alien girl that made human hearts go thud-thud and universal translators short-circuit from trying to interpret the poetry of her gait. She was also oblivious to Gary. Completely, mercilessly oblivious. Oh, and she had a pet. Not just any pet, a Clearax. A 600-pound apex predator that looked like the unholy offspring of a saber-toothed tiger and a feathered velociraptor. Its name was Sniffles. "Don't pet it," warned Mr. Varnak. "Don't look it directly in the eyes," added Mrs. Varnak. "If you bleed near it, run," Zana said casually. So obviously Gary decided to impress her. And how does one impress an alien girl with a death cat? By sneaking into their forbidden basement storage chamber at 3 a.m., as you do, and fiddling with a glowing, softly humming artifact labeled in sharp Varnak script. "Do not touch, definitely not a toy. Space-time is fragile, you moron." In Gary's defense, the humming was very soothing. One poke, that's all it took. The device, shaped like a chrome football wearing sunglasses, made a sound like a duck being deflated and flashed a blinding blue. Gary felt like his atoms had been shaken, not stirred. "Oh no," he whispered. Behind him, Sniffles growled, not a "I'm going to eat you" growl, more like an "I sensed you just ripped a hole in the fabric of the cosmos again, didn't you" growl. Sniffles, it turns out, was very intuitive. And yes, Gary had made a boo-boo. The next morning, the universe noticed. Planets blinked in and out like faulty Christmas lights. Moons circled their planets backwards. Somewhere in the Andromeda cluster, an entire solar system was now shaped like a spiral pretzel. Worst of all, a race of hyper-intelligent fungal DJs called the Sporlax complained that their beat had been thrown off by 0.3 picoseconds. Naturally, this prompted an emergency intergalactic summit. 12 alien species, 4 sentient A-is, 1 confused Earth intern who thought he was at Comic-Con. After much yelling, gesturing, and one duel fought entirely with interpretive dance, it was determined. Some idiot bent reality. Security footage from the Varnak's home, courtesy of Sniffles' helmet cam because he moonlighted as a vlog star, revealed the culprit. Gary was brought before the council. "You broke the universe," buzzed an angry gelatinous cube named Blib. "By accident," Gary protested, "and I did try to fix it. I hid the device under the sofa." "That made it worse," said Zarna flatly. "It caused a localized wormhole in our breakfast nook. Dad got eaten by Tuesday twice." Sniffles let out a low growl of judgmental agreement, but oddly, Gary was not executed, melted, or dimensionally unraveled. Because here's the thing, no one knew how to fix the universe. Sure, they'd understood space-time on a theoretical level, but they'd never had a real-life, hands-on crisis to experiment with. Until now. Thus began the most unexpected collaboration in galactic history. Humans, bold, reckless, dangerously inventive. Aliens, brilliant, cautious, extremely tired of humans. They brought in everyone. The Quarn, masters of gravitational origami, the Flublians, who only communicate through scent but were experts in time-scent synchronization. Earth's best minds, including a retired microwave engineer named Doris, who once made time go backwards, probably. Together, they reverse-engineered the device, now dubbed the Oopsatron. Gary, still clumsy, was crucial. His bad idea energy, as it came to be known, was essential to triggering repairs. One test had to involve Gary roller skating through a portal while singing karaoke to confuse the causality loop. It worked, mostly. He was now legally married to a toaster in 3 parallel timelines. But little by little, the universe healed. The beat returned to the Sporlax. The pretzel-shaped system straightened out, though it now constantly smells like mustard, and Earth was finally invited to be a full member of the Galactic Council. With a note, only supervised access to buttons, levers, or anything that glows. Zana. Well, she started to notice Gary. A little. After all, he had accidentally doomed reality, but also helped save it with a reckless charm and heroic stupidity that no one else could quite replicate. And Sniffles. He started napping on Gary's feet. That was the closest thing to affection the murder cat ever showed. As for the Oopsatron, well, no one knows exactly where it is. Gary might have accidentally left it on a shuttle headed toward a region of space known only as Sector Wu-O. But that's probably fine. Probably, right? Continued. The Boo-Boo That Bent Reality. Part 2. Love, Lasagna, and Lethal Naps. No one really understands alien love, especially not Gary. Zana Varnak, with her kaleidoscopic skin that shimmered like oil in water and a mind sharper than a quantum scalpel, had begun acting different. At first, Gary thought she was developing a stress tic. But then came the unmistakable signs of Varnak courtship protocols, according to the handy and terrifyingly thick guide to not accidentally getting married in space that the Galactic Council now issued to all human exchange participants. Gary's copy had been chewed by Sniffles, but the key warning was still legible. If a female Varnak gifts you fermented root tentacles wrapped in blisterweed, you're either being courted or cursed, possibly both. Zana gave him 2 bundles, one labeled for saving the universe, and one labeled for being you, I guess. Gary wasn't sure if he should be flattered or afraid. She also started hovering near him, not in a romantic, I like you way, but more like a predator circling a mildly interesting snack that hadn't stopped moving yet. Her eyes blinked horizontally, which made it impossible to read her mood. One day she said, "You're very stupid, Gary." "Thanks," he replied. "I like that. It's brave." Gary smiled. "You mean you like me? Number, I said I like your stupidity. Don't get ahead of yourself." She was practically swooning in alien terms. Sniffles, however, was not on board. In fact, Sniffles was compiling a list. Of Gary, every time Gary laughed too loudly, every time he spilled alien punch on the anti-gravity rug, every time he tried to scratch behind Sniffles' ear and lost another sleeve. The Clirax's giant eyes seemed to say, "I'm watching you, meatbag. I don't know how you trick my queen, but if she picks you, you better grow eyes in the back of your head, and maybe a backup spine." Gary woke up twice to find Sniffles perched above his bed, purring the way one might while contemplating dinner options. Zana found this endearing. "He's just testing your reflexes." "I thought he was preparing a eulogy," Gary muttered, bandaging his arm. But things were looking up. Gary had become semi-respected. The council still kept him 50 feet from any cosmic levers, but he had his own badge now. It read, Human, approved for light heroics and emergency chaos. Zana invited him to join her on an expedition to the newly restored causal nexus rift, a place where reality had nearly unraveled thanks to his Oopsatron incident. I want to show you the stars, she said, handing him goggles, a lead-lined suit, and a will to sign. And also measure how your presence distorts the rift. That's romantic, Gary ventured. She blinked both sets of eyelids. You're lucky you're cute in a how is this thing still alive sort of way. And Gary grinned. He didn't understand alien romance, alien science, or the rules of galactic etiquette. He still bowed wrong and once toasted the ambassador of Zelf 5 with cough syrup. But he'd done something no human had done before. He bent the universe. And maybe, just maybe, someone bent a little toward him too. Of course, he still had to survive Sniffles. The apex predator had taken to casually sitting on his pillow while he slept, one claw slowly tapping the bedpost in a rhythm that definitely wasn't a lullaby. Gary swore he once woke up with a single hair missing and a note that said, "Just a taste." But Zana was starting to smile more when he talked. Sniffles only hissed every other day now. And the stars, when they weren't unraveling or bending backwards, looked kind of beautiful. Gary thought just maybe he could get used to this, just as long as he never touched another glowing alien artifact ever again. Unless, of course, it impresses her and brings a little excitement to the bedroom. To be continued. Probably when Sniffles learns how to type.